Well, look, we're going through the tape right now. We're evaluating everything.
So quarterback change is on the table.
I'd say we're evaluating everything.
This is Big Blue Blitz with your host, Joe Mauceri.
It is tough to be a New York sports fan any time of year. But when the local football teams are a combined 0-6, you have to hide your head in your hood sometimes. That is our producer, Justin Rouzier. I am Joe Mauceri, and you are watching the Big Blue Blitz. Thank you so much for taking the time with me each and every week to break down the state of the New York Football Giants. Is NFL reporter for the New York Post, Ryan Dunleavy. And Ryan, sometimes you got to give the people what they want. So here you are. That's what we're talking about, right?
Didn't you hear the "We Want Ryan" chant in the stands last night?
I did hear some boos. They were not directed at you. I think they were directed at Brian Daboll for taking Jaxson Dart out of the game, for putting Russell Wilson back in the game, and then on Monday, Daboll non-committal about his quarterback for week 4. We've been talking about this. It's been a roller coaster, right, on the Jaxson Dart arrival when it was going to be here. Where are you right now after the latest comments from the coach of the New York Giants?
I think the last I said was week 5 when I thought he would be the starter. Well, we're at week 4. It sounds like Brian Daboll has to be leaning towards making the change now because he went far enough that it's almost hard enough. It's almost hard not to do it at this point. If you're willing to leave the door that wide open, it's almost hard to then shut it and go back to Russell Wilson. But I guess I'm going to go with it's either week 4 or week 5, Joe. It's coming. So Giants fans are getting it. Justin can take off his sweatshirt and put on a Dart jersey soon enough.
Yeah, and then we'll see how long that lasts. But here's what Daboll said after the loss to the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football about the booing that was going on at MetLife.
Look, Jackson's progressing well. We'll continue to work with him. I got a lot of confidence in him, his development that he's had. And that's what we'll continue to do. Look, I'd be booing too, to be honest with you, in terms of not being good enough. No, not scoring, not finishing. I understand that. That's the nature of it. We got to be better.
Okay, so we were starting to have this conversation before we came on the air here. You are of the mindset that Brian Daboll wants to get his guy in there. My thought on that is, yeah, I think you want to get him in there to save your job, but the longer he has to play, I think the better he needs to be. I think if he sits and waits till the end of the season and he's got 3 or 4 games at the end of the year, he can look decent and say, okay, it's still his first year. He can get better next year. John Mara says, I got to give Daboll another year with his guy. If he starts this week against the Chargers, an undefeated team that has won 3 games in their division to start the season, if he goes out and doesn't play well, or even just plays okay from now until the end of the year, because once you give him the keys, you can't go back, then you have more time to be exposed and say, okay, this guy isn't the savior of the franchise, or at least I've seen a large sample size with the head coach and this quarterback, and now I know going into next season, I need to make a change at the helm. Don't you think waiting here gives Brian Daboll a longer lifeline?
No,
Okay.
I think it's the opposite, Joe.
Was it that shot of Mara on Sunday Night Football in the box that convinced
all
you?
shots of John Mara are the same. They're like this, basically, like this. So no, I don't think that, because I think what'd you say? Wait till 3 or 4 games left. The Giants are going to be 2-12 at that point or something. He's not going to be the coach if they're 2-12 and Jaxson Dart hasn't played yet. So he'll never even get to see his guy. And to the other point, I I think there's something to be said for the opposite of what you said. That's what makes sports great, right? Arguments, debates. I think there's something to be said for the exact opposite of what you said. Like, you can put him in week 4 against the Chargers, and if he looks like, say, rookie Eli Manning did against the Ravens, where he was, terrible, there's more time for him to get better, right? Like, all of a sudden he's bad for 2 or 3 games, then he's good for 2, then he's better for 2 or 3 games, then he's good for 2 or 3 games, then he has a great game. All of a sudden now it's like, oh, look at the progression he's making, rather than just 3 or 4 game window at the end and you don't really take much away from it. If he's having whatever it is, 12, 13, 14 starts, you're going to be able to see a full Jaxson Dart with Brian Daboll, and you'll be able to get a much better evaluation of, is he getting better with Brian Daboll? I think Daboll knows that this is his best chance. I think the team is excited about it. I think the fans are excited about it. I think they created whether they did it purposely or not, Joe, they created an untenable dynamic by having Dart come into the games. You don't want your fans booing your starting quarterback.
Of course not. And obviously you get the excitement around Dart too, right? He looked good in the preseason, and obviously it's a small sample size. And everybody already loves the backup quarterback. When your team's not winning, he's the most popular guy on the team. So now you got a young backup quarterback who you used a first-round pick on. I look at this schedule, though. So you mentioned that if he goes out there the way Eli Manning did, who got destroyed against the Ravens in his debut, and let's say he goes out there and doesn't perform well against the Chargers, you get a softer landing spot against the Saints, but then you've got the Eagles twice in 3 weeks. And if you get blown out in those 2 games, like, you're checked out. The fans, at least, they can boo. At least the fans are engaged if they're out there going and booing Russell Wilson, saying, come on, let's see the backup. Let's see the young guy. You're checked out at week, what is that, 7, 8 that we're up to then, if things don't go well and he looks bad?
Couple things. First of all, they're going to be, if Jaxson Dart doesn't keep you engaged, that's the only thing that's going to keep you engaged. Yeah, Jaxson Dart's development is going to keep you more engaged than booing Russell Wilson. Second of all,
well, that's because they don't throw to Malik Neighbors, right? He would keep you engaged, but if you don't throw to him, what's the point? We got to keep Malik Neighbors engaged in this as well.
And if you have Russell Wilson playing your home game against the Eagles, it's going to be all Eagles fans, so you're not even going to have Giants fans there to boo. And it's just, and I also kind of feel this way. Like, I feel this way about the Chargers game, about the 2 Eagles games. Like, you drafted him to be the future of the franchise. So now what? We're not going to play him against good teams? Like, you're bad. Yeah. So, like, almost every team is better than you. So, like, yes, you get wait. You get this one game against the Saints, but, like, everybody's going to be better than you. So let's just see if he's good. Play him against good teams. Did CJ Stroud sit against good teams?
You're going to go into my perfect point then. Then why didn't we start him at the beginning of the year? Then why didn't he start the season?
The answer to that question, Joe, is very simple. Because they promised a future Hall of Fame guy when he signed here the chance to start the season. That's it. You made Russell Wilson a well-respected guy around the NFL, a promise that he was your starter. So no matter what happened after March 20th or whatever day you made him that promise, he was going to be the starter.
All right. Well, then I respect the fact that they are men of their words inside the Giants organization. Maybe that does still stand for something here. Let's talk about Malik Neighbors here, because I don't know if he was calling for Jaxson Dart, but he was calling for anybody to throw him the ball last night. And I don't know if this – look, he didn't have a catch through the first 3 quarters. Neither did Wan'Dale Robinson. You look at that final stat line, and 2 catches, 13 yards. Is this more an indictment on the quarterback play, or is this an indictment on play calling in your eyes?
Oh, that's a good question. Probably 50-50, because Russell Wilson, I'll go more play calling, because Russell Wilson's best strength, and maybe his last remaining strength, is the deep ball, right? So what Steve Spagnuolo did was play basic 2 safety high defense and take away the deep ball and force you to run the ball. So that's like basic. That's not Spags being a Hall of Famer, which he is. That's just basic counterpunch to taking away the deep ball. And then the Giants had no counterpunch back to it. Like, you know what Russell Wilson is. teams are going to take away the deep ball. You have to have something in the arsenal. I'm not expecting 36-year-old Russell Wilson to suddenly pull out new tricks.
Right.
I am expecting Brian Daboll and Mike Kafka to be able to counterpunch Steve Pagnuolo's punch.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put it more on the play calling and the offense that they, after lighting it up against the Cowboys, didn't realize the Chiefs were going to take that away and make you do something else. That seems rather ignorant. And it's not like Neighbors got shut down by Trent McDuffie. He's faced other great corners. He knows how to get open. It shouldn't have been 2 for 13. Where are the quick slants, the slants and goes, the routes that Odell Beckham used to run, catch a 10-yard pass and zoom, see you later.
Give me a bubble screen. Give me a bubble screen out there. Get him on a jet sweep or something, Get the ball in the hands of your best playmakers so that they can go out there and make a play. And then you know what? If nothing else, then the defense starts to focus on him more and more guys come to help out. They overplay, and it opens up something else. I'm not an NFL offensive coordinator, clearly, right? I struggle with my son's flag football league, and sometimes I feel like they listen as well as the Giants, the way the organization looks out there. Because at the end, it becomes what Russell Wilson did a couple times in running around and then throwing it to your running back, in this case, Cam Skattebo, who was the beneficiary of that. But I just think you got to get the ball in the hands of your best players when you're out there. Bill Belichick always did it. I'm going to take away what your best player is and make you beat me some other way. But if you go out there and you find a way to get the ball in their hands, the other guys on the field have to pay attention to it. And I think it just changes things. And Andy Reid finds a way to do it. He's creative. Right? Travis Kelce gets his targets out there when that Chiefs team was decimated on offense. They're missing their 2 starting wide receivers. The offensive line looks like a sieve out there. It's frustrating. And I think Giants fans were displaying a lot of that frustration last night.
For Giants fans, it just felt like game 17 or game 18 of last year or game 36 of the last 3 years. It just looked like nothing changed. I can't blame Giants fans for being frustrated. Like, it was only the home opener. No, it wasn't. This is continuation of everybody in this league scores points, and we've been 29th in points since, Jake Fromm was running quarterback sneaks on the 3-yard line.
Since Brian Daboll has taken over, the Giants have scored 956 points. That is the second fewest in the NFL over that time. Only the New England Patriots. Did you want to guess?
No, I wanted to give you an even better stat.
Oh, go ahead. You're going to one-up me with the stat. The New England Patriots, the only team who have scored less. Go ahead. Give me one more.
So here's this is courtesy of our friend Jordan Renan. He said the Giants have scored 10 points or fewer 7 times since the start of last season.
Okay.
No one else in the NFL has done it more than 4 times.
Oh. And on that note,
10 points or fewer 7 times in, what is that, 20 games?
You don't win a lot of games when you score less than 10 points in the National Football League. We got to take a break here. When we come back, though, we are going to have a silver lining to this cloud. It's not just the potential debut of Jaxson Dart as starter. There were some good things to talk about out of last night's game, just not enough of them. We're going to discuss it all when the Big Blue Blitz returns. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Big Blue Blitz.
Well, the Giants fell to 0-3 on the young NFL season, losing 22-9 in prime time to the Kansas City Chiefs. But the savior could be on his way. Hopefully the force is strong in that one. Jaxson Dart, maybe, might be, we'll see. We're going to explore everything. Could be the starting quarterback of the New York Football Giants this weekend against the Chargers. Joining us, as always, is NFL reporter Ryan Dunleavy from the New York Post. Ryan, let's talk about some of the good that was there in last night's game against the Kansas City Chiefs. And we got to start with Bo Skattebo. The guy had 121 scrimmage yards last night, running the way I think New Yorkers want their running backs to run. He said he was 20 years too late for his style of football in the NFL, but I think it still resonates with fans, even if it's not that popular with the coaches or the referees these days. What did you think of Skattebo last night?
Yeah, he was he's a fan favorite. You saw why. Like, he's going to put his head down, run guys over. He's got that, like, Brandon Jacobs, Ahmad Bradshaw, Giants running back pedigree. Rodney Hampton, like he wants to make contact. He wants to initiate it. He wants to run through tackles. I think I saw a next gen stat that the Giants had only had, like, I think as a team, 3 forced missed tackles in the first 2 games. And then I want to say he had 7 last night. So, no, I mean, look, he's clearly moved ahead of Tyrone Tracy, who's dealing with a shoulder injury anyway, as the Giants' primary ball carrier. He's a weapon as a pass catcher. If you're looking for a bright spot, we won't take up too much of the show with bright spots, but if you're looking for one, he is certainly one there. As long as he can stay on the field, there is a concern that he'll be injury prone because he's so small.
All right, that was my next question. Do you think it's sustainable? I mean, Maurice Jones-Drew, right, is a guy who of that size who ran hard. That kind of comes to mind for me, but he runs much harder. Go ahead.
Yeah, Maurice Jones-Drew was thicker though.
Yeah,
like, Cam Skattebo was both short and like compact. Like Maurice Jones-Drew, they had some girth to him.
Yeah.
So,
both of them, I think, have a very similar no neck. I don't know what they wear on a collared shirt. It's got to be like a 24 or something like that to get around there. Okay, so one other bright spot, the return, obviously, of Andrew Thomas on the line here. He was on a snap count. He looked good while he was out there on the field. I saw a stat somewhere. He had a 100% win rate when he was out there. That sounds pretty good to me. What did you see from Thomas in his return?
I saw that Andrew Thomas that I always see. He is one of the best, one of the most underrated left tackles in the NFL. His problem is he can't stay on the field, right? He's missed 16 games the last 2+ seasons now. It actually might be 18 now. But he is dominant when he plays, and he looked comfortable. He said after the game he felt okay. The big thing is, like, how does he feel today? How does he feel tomorrow? And can he go into practicing Wednesday? If so, then, all things are clear. Away we go. But 25 snap count limit. Thought that was a little strange, but that's kind of what this regime does, Joe, on a lot of things. Like, that's kind of one of their calling cards, is when they have a tough decision, they just kind of play the middle ground. Like, who should we start at cornerback? Well, let's start Cordell Flood and Deonte Banks. Let's start Russell Wilson, but also kind of play Jaxson Dart. Like, that's what they do. They find a way to not make the tough decision. So they played Andrew Thomas 25 snaps, and then they also played Marcus Bowe. As long as Thomas came out, he looked like his dominant self. I guess they can keep doing that, and Bowe looked okay too.
So what happens then? Because obviously Illuminor has looked good on the other side there of the line. What happens to Bowe? Does he just go back to being depth and hopefully we don't need you, but if we do, you're there?
Yeah, let's make this clear. It's okay to have good players on the bench. I know, like, Giants fans can't possibly imagine having too many good players, but, like, that's okay. Like, yes, Marcus Bowe is a 5th-round rookie. Like, it's okay to let him develop as a swing tackle for a year, and then maybe he takes over as a starter next year. It's okay to have him as insurance, and maybe, like you said, late in the season, he becomes a starter when development is more important than the games. But, like, yeah, you're not going to move Jermaine Illuminor, who's been your best offensive lineman for the last 2 years, because Andrew Thomas is always hurt.
Yep.
So Illuminor has been the best. You're not going to mess with him. I know he played guard for the Raiders earlier in his career. He's going to be furious in a contract year if you move him from right tackle inside. So, like, don't mess with him. Just let Bowe develop and practice and whatnot and get better, and leave Illuminor where he is, leave Thomas where he is, and have insurance, so you're not trotting out Josh Uzudu or some guy picked up off the street like they did last year against the Steelers to play left tackle. It's okay to have too many good players at one spot. That's okay.
All right. They could have used another good player at the kicking position last night. Graham Gano injured himself before the game. It was, to borrow a Yogi Berra phrase here, felt like deja vu all over again. Didn't we see this last year against the Washington Commanders when the Giants didn't have a kicker and they ended up costing them the game? Now, I'm not saying they would have won the game in this situation had they had Gano there, but it definitely plays out a little differently. Go ahead, you're in pain. You look like Gano after he hit that field goal in the second half.
This just enrages me, Joe. It enrages me because, like, freak injuries happen, right? I'm not blaming them for Graham Gano getting injured. Like, that happens. But this has now happened 2 years in a row, and then really 3 in a row if you consider they sent a hurt Graham Gano onto the field to kick a field goal against the Jets 3 years ago in the crazy game the Jets had no business winning, and they came back to beat the Tommy DeVito Giants because Graham Gano missed like a 35-yard field goal. So like all off season long, people were screaming, Gano's cap hit didn't make sense. He's an aging kicker. He's inconsistent. You got to challenge him. You got to bring in somebody. They didn't do that. Then they barely had him kick all preseason because they knew that he was an injury concern. And then he's still good when he plays. But like the idea that this is some surprise that this happened, it's not. It's not a surprise. You cannot be surprised. So like he gets hurt. This is what happens. He's old and he's inconsistent. So like it can't be a surprise. And they act surprised. Like how could we have possibly known that Graham Gano was going to get hurt in the pregame? Because this happened already. So like you have to have a backup plan for this. You have to have another, if you want to keep Graham Gano, you have to have another kicker on the 53-man roster, or you have to have a younger kicker. Like those are the two options. It's not continue to leave yourself short at kicker in important games. It's just, it can't happen again.
So I'm going to bring us back to the top of the show. Do you believe that Brian Daboll, Mike Kafka, Brian Daboll, though, as head coach of this team, a guy who is clearly not giving a fully prepared team the opportunity to win out on the field by having this vulnerability, do you believe that he is the coach of the year, coach Brian Daboll, and is the guy that you want to tutor Jaxson Dart and is going to turn this franchise around? Or are you more skeptical and concerned that maybe he's not the guy here? And before you answer, I just want to throw the name Daniel Jones out there and what he's doing right now.
Yeah. He could be the MVP of the NFL right now.
I mean, through 3 weeks, it's between him and Josh Allen, right? They got the same numbers.
It's crazy. You asked me two different questions.
Yeah,
I'm going to answer both of them. I would say, I don't hate him as the guy who's developing Jaxson Dart because he's the guy who spotted Jaxson Dart. He's the guy who pushed for Jaxson Dart. He's the guy who built the relationship with Jaxson Dart. So I don't mind him developing Jaxson Dart. I don't know how anyone could look at it and say Brian Daboll is giving them an advantage on Sundays as the head coach. So, like, this is kind of how I felt about Pat Shurmur in 2019. Like, I didn't think he was doing a great job as the head coach. They lost 9 in a row. Daboll lost 10 in a row last year. So, like, I didn't think he was doing a great job as the head coach. But I thought he was doing a great job with Daniel Jones, as time has shown, he was the only one to do a good job with Daniel Jones until this year. So, like, we haven't seen Daboll with Jaxson Dart, but like it wouldn't surprise me if he and Jaxson Dart hit off a rhythm. But then there's also like timeout management, defense prep, and staff hiring, and the other 30 things you have to do as a head coach that the last 3 years suggest Brian Daboll is not doing a good job at.
I just think that somewhere right now, Dave Gettleman might be smiling.
Well, that's Joe Shane. I mean, we could do a whole nother conversation on the roster Joe Shane's built compared to the roster.
And we will. So make sure you tune in each and every week to the Big Blue Blitz. Ryan Dunleavy will be there as Jaxson Dart may or may not make his debut as starting quarterback for the New York Giants. Ryan, thank you for the time as always. Appreciate you, man. And that's going to do it for this edition of the Big Blue Blitz. Be sure to like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. Tell everybody you can watch it on Pix 11 Plus. If you like this show, we've also got the Gangrene Blitz for you Jets fans out there because let's face it, misery loves company. I'm Joe Mauceri. Thanks for watching. We'll get on track someday, New York football fans. Talk to you next time.